Welcome, everybody. Are you a parent, an entrepreneur, someone who's working away in maybe a large corporate job or whatever? You're working your 9 to 5, and you feel like you are gradually disappearing from your own life. You feel disconnected. You feel like maybe even you've checked all the right boxes, but you just feel like emptiness. Like, is this really all that there is? Or this isn't why I started doing this thing. I was hoping to have a better life than where I'm at. I mean, if that sounds familiar to you, then you're not alone. There are many people, once again, parents, entrepreneurs, other people working away in their 9 to 5 jobs that feel that exact same way. I like to call it the slow fade, where we slowly start to not recognize ourselves anymore. We feel like we're not even a participant in our own life. Either we're just a passenger and someone else is driving, or we start to put on that performance mode where we're putting on these different masks, showing up in a way that we think is what people want, but it's not really what the people around us need the most, and it's not allowing us to live an energized and fulfilling life that we want to live. And so I want to unpack that with you today. How do we recognize that gradual, I feel like I'm disappearing from my own life? How do we recognize that slow fade? Because I used to think maybe I was being responsible and reliable and steady, because I was doing what good people did, right? I was a dependable dad. I've never doubted that. I was a consistent husband, and a professional that people could count on. But somewhere along the way, I got that it's fine feeling, right? Everything's fine. It's fine. When it wasn't, it didn't feel that way. I started nodding along, even though I didn't agree. I started to show up for everyone else while slowly feeling like I was disappearing, showing up in a way that I felt like I was in that performance mode. And so that fade that's there, I mean, for me, it was so gradual that I didn't even notice it was happening. And you may be the same way. Sometimes it's a rude awakening that we need to get that, but I slowly, one small compromise here or a silent, I would silence an opinion I had there, kept happening again and again until one day, I looked in the mirror. Honestly, I didn't even recognize the person I was staring back. I actually remember the day where I was sitting in a sea of cubicles in the corporate world and just thinking to myself, man, I don't belong here. How did I get here? What scared me the most wasn't actually the reflection of that. It was the emptiness behind it. I couldn't remember the last time I did something because I'd wanted to. I couldn't name a single thing that lit me up inside. My life looked great on paper. All the boxes were checked, but I felt completely disconnected from, the person living with it. I felt like I wasn't the person that needed that. And here's what set me free, and I'm hoping that you can take stuff from this, is that those parts of me that I thought were lost along the way, they were just buried under the years of obligation and responsibility and putting on that performance mode. But the real me was in there waiting the whole time to come back out. And to show itself through. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, that slow fade. So I'm going to tee up some details here real quick, and then, with your permission, I'll dive deep into 5 very specific areas. So if you just need the quick win answers, we're going to cover that right now. But hopefully you can stick around through the rest of the video and dive deep in these 5 areas that focus on it and things that you could actionably go do as a part of your life, knowing that you're a busy parent or entrepreneur or person working away and you can't just burn everything down and start from scratch. So stick around with me if you can through the whole video. Otherwise, we'll just keep diving through the part that you need. So that slow fade, it's that disappearing act where we're performing, without even realizing it. And what's happening when it happens the most, when we get so busy, especially being who everyone else needs, that we forget to focus on our own needs and we forget to focus on who we are. So, I mean, if you just feel like you're going through the motions, showing up for work, family, everyone else, but feeling completely numb inside, then this is for you. If you've caught yourself being like, man, I don't even know what I want anymore. I can't even remember the last time that I laughed for no reason. Once again, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You've just been buried. You're not alone. There's tons of people who are going to watch this video and feel that exact same way. But psychologists refer to it as there's this identity erosion that happens over time, where the things that you are skilled at and your competences, those sort of things, when you're meeting expectations, hides this, behind the quiet, disconnection of underneath of everything that's happening. But once again, with anything, none of this is permanent. You can actually bring yourself back online and feel that energy again, live a more fulfilled life, have more energy and excitement day to day. And the truth is, the slow fade isn't the cost of being a responsible adult. It's the symptom of a false belief that, you've chosen to believe, you've chosen to follow along, and we can rewrite that. The magic happens when you learn that you can be responsible and be yourself at the same time. Now, we're going to unpack this a lot today. Now, of course, my name is Jake Talbert. I like to introduce myself at the beginning of every video, and I forgot to. So I'm Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of the GIVER Method. So welcome to the GIVER Method channel. GIVER Method is a book I wrote, came out last November. There's going to be a link in the description. You can go get it on Amazon right now. It is on sale. You can get it for as little as $1.99. I think it's $1.99 to like $10. That's the best $1.99 to $10 you could invest in yourself or someone that you love in order to help them to discover their gifts and superpowers, make a greater impact in your life, the life of those around you, have more value for people, have better relationships and engagements. Just like I said, it's designed to help you to discover joy and happiness through the gifts and superpowers that you already have inside you. It's grounded in my story, and I've walked a very similar path to you, so I like it. You use it as like a guidebook for, how you can do these things without having to burn everything down and start from scratch or go move to the woods and find yourself. Like, I understand as a parent, because I'm a parent of 3, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's been in that corporate world, you can't just start over, but you can start to live more authentically and have more value and joy based off the life that you have right now by doing these things super intentionally. So go get yourself a copy. Like I said, link is in the description, or pause the video and go to the GIVER Method, on Amazon, and go get yourself a copy. Like I said, I've been through this myself. I've been there as a part of that, with that quiet exhaustion, slowly losing joy as a part of everything. But I also know that there's a way back, and I want to walk you through it. Very intentional acts that reconnect with, how you fit within your own life. So there's these 5 areas. Like I said, we're going to cover those here in a bit, that help you to recognize you're fading, recognize that when you're fading and start like reversing that fade. How to notice that you've been performing instead of just being who you are. How to bring back the parts of you that have gone quiet, and how to live as your real self again, without abandoning all the responsibilities that you have, because you don't need to burn it all down. You don't need to start over. You don't need you just need to start showing up as you again, the true you, authentic you, one moment at a time. And the reason why is because you are the only person that has your combination of gifts, superpowers, experiences, meaning that you're the only person who can make an impact in the world that you can make right now. And there are people waiting for your exact impact. They're waiting for you to realize these things. Like I said, everything's going to be grounded in the GIVER Method, so if you want to go on Amazon, use the link in the description, get yourself a copy. You can check out thegivermethod.com for more details, free resources we have, sign up for our newsletter list. Go find us on our social medias, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those places under the GIVER Method. And then, look, if you're looking for someone who can, walk you through, this sort of thing, you're looking for one-on-one help, check out the coaching link in the description. When maybe you've got a community, a podcast, an event, a stage where this sort of a message might resonate with them, check out the speaking and podcasting link down below. And of course, do all the YouTube-y things if you haven't already. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and of course, drop comments on the things that land for you the most. I had an amazing one yesterday that was like, man, this spoke right to my heart. And I love hearing stuff like that because it shows me we're on the right path. And so with that, let's just pause, take a deep breath, because there's a lot of things happening there. And I want to unpack these 5 very specific principles with you. If you've stuck around this long, thank you. And let's dive through, because I think that there are things within each one of them that you could be applying in your life, and that you could continue to work on and apply in your life over time to make sure that you stay aligned with that, so you don't fall back into this, that slow fade, that you've been experiencing. So the first one, let's talk about that. The first principle or area is remembering the you that got buried. So I talked about it you're going to be doing like an inventory of your lost self. You're going to reclaim all the things that you forgot that you loved. Because when life gets busy, we don't lose ourselves all at once. It's a fade. Small compromise here, I'll get that back later there, until one day we look up and we realize I can't even remember what lights us up anymore, what energizes us, what is keeping us motivated and going. And you're great at showing up for other people, but somewhere in the process, you just stop showing up for you. Maybe you even don't feel like you have permission to show up for you. And trust me, give yourself that permission. So I'll give you the permission right now. Show up for you, because the world needs you and your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences to make the impact that you can make. So please take the permission slip to start showing up for you. So the first step, this whole thing, what it's about is bringing those buried parts of you that light you up back online. And once again, we're not crashing the goal is to let's crash back into the 20-year-old version of ourselves or try to reinvent the wheel. We're just remembering who you were before everything started to become the checklist, the to-do list. The truth is those parts of you aren't gone. They've been covered under these layers of the responsibility, the guilt, the you shoulds, the should-bes, even maybe burnout, overwhelm, anxiety, frustration. There's all these things that start to reset. So this lost self-inventory helps you map back what you left behind along the way. And it's very black and white. Your authentic self isn't missing. It's just waiting for you to be like, hey, come on back. Let's do this. And there's tons of data and science out there that people who take the time to revisit these lost interests, they reconnect with their sense of self 3 times faster than those who sit around trying to find it themselves. So gosh, like this awareness is going to create the spark that you need to really get things rolling. So here's what I want you to do. Sometime this week, you're going to need to carve out some time. Maybe it's 15 to 20 minutes, quiet minutes, no phone, no distractions. And just grab a notebook or open a note on your phone, like just whatever it is. And you're going to do 4 simple lists of things, okay? So the 4 lists, you're going to have one which is going to be buried interests and hobbies, one that's traits that have dimmed, one that's small joys that you let go, and the 4th one is stories you've told yourself. The buried interests and hobbies where you're going to write down every action, activity, passion that you used to love. And once again, don't filter, just brain dump. Did you paint, play guitar, go hiking, read for fun, run, cook for joy, whatever, write them all down. Beside each one, note when you stopped doing those things. Timing often tells a story. It was when, the kids were born and things got busy. It was when I got that big promotion. It's when life got full. It's when my father passed away, whatever. Fill in the blank of what those are. Now, the second thing is traits that have dimmed. Think about the parts of your personality that maybe used to shine. Maybe where you were the funny one, you were the curious one, you were the adventurous one. Which of those traits have gone quiet? List out maybe 5 to 7 of them. The ones that used to define who you were, but maybe are on mute right now. The third thing, like I said, we talked about the small joys you've abandoned. So these aren't big goals. These are the everyday things that made life feel good. You had your morning coffee ritual, you loud drives with music, long drives with loud music, spontaneous conversations, or even used to dress before everything became more practical. List out maybe 8 to 10 of these small joys that maybe have been edited out of your life. And then that 4th one I said, which is the stories you tell yourself. Each time, each thing that you've written down here, jot down the reason that you gave for letting it go. Man, I don't have time, it's not practical, that version of me is in a different season. Whatever it is, those stories might feel true, but they're mostly just the survival mode of your brains trying to create logic that you've outlived its purpose. And you don't need to judge them, you just need to see them, because once you can see them, you can change them. If you can't bring back something that you haven't named, you have to name the thing. So this inventory isn't just a list, it's the mirror that shows you the things that made you, made you feel like you, made you feel alive. And seeing on paper, it creates 2 emotions, grief for what was lost and hope that it's not too late to get them back. That's where your comeback starts. It's not this massive overhaul. It starts with this. We got to start with awareness. What were those things? Because the moment you start remembering what got buried, you can start trying to bring those back on, not having to rediscover all the new things out there. Yeah, there might be some along the way, but let's pull back the stuff that's already native to you. And then second principle, what I want you to do is, now there's awareness, I want you to start showing up once a day as the real you. So this is all about the daily, a daily authenticity practice for you, one genuine expression at a time. Because the fade doesn't happen because you stopped caring about anything. It's because you just got really good at performing as the entrepreneur or the business leader, the parent, the whatever. You somewhere along the line, you learned the safest way to move through life was to stay agreeable, to keep the peace, to make everyone else feel comfortable, even if it meant quietly shrinking yourself a little bit more every day, even if it meant eating away at the energy that you had, doing things that you didn't enjoy. You say it's fine, but it's not fine. Maybe you nod when you disagree, you swallow your opinions, because it's easier than putting out the risky conflict or whatever. Over time, your authentic self stops getting the airtime it needs. You're not lying to anyone. You've just been surviving. You've been performing. That performance mode, oh gosh, it crushes souls. So this step is so important because the daily, some sort of a daily authenticity practice, it's about breaking up the auto performance loop you're in, not by reinventing yourself overnight, but just by committing to the one genuine thing you can do every single day. Just one small, tiny thing, the real moment that you actually let that your interest peek through that day-to-day script that you move through. Once again, it's not about dramatic or impulsive. It's just about retaining your nervous system and believing in it, that you can make yourself feel safe in that space again. Because when you start showing up in the small, consistent ways, your brain will relax. And that authenticity stops feeling dangerous or this far out thing. It just starts feeling natural and easy. And so here's what I want you to do. Here's your challenge. Next 30 days, I want you to pick one moment each day to show up as a real you. And it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be a true, very connected version of you. And so there's a couple things I want you to do. You're going to share a real opinion. You're going to choose what you actually want. You're going to let your personality breathe. You're going to do something for joy, not productivity, and say one honest thing. So let's break these down a little bit. Share a real opinion. When someone asks hey, where do you want to go for dinner? Stop saying like, I don't care, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, you do care, say it. If a worker asks you for feedback, tell them like kindly instead of like auto praising them. You know, if your partner struggles to plan something, like struggles to plan and you don't love, like speak up. Like, it's okay to say like, man, I don't know if I want to do that. Once again, being small truths, speaking your opinion, it rewires your voice back into life that you can use day to day. You know, we talked about number 2, which was choose what you actually want. Like, order the meal that sounds good, not just because it's the healthy one. Play the song you love instead of the playlist everyone else likes. Take the scenic route instead of the fast one. You know, you're reminding your system that your preference matters. So now we've got our voice, we've got our system knowing the preference matters. So number 3, let your personality breathe. Crack the damn joke. Ask the deeper, curious questions. Suggest something super spontaneous. Once again, these don't have to be grand, they just be you. You know, our voice, what preferences, just showing up as you. And then do something for joy, not productivity. Spend 10 minutes doing something that feeds you, it feels right to you. Read, sketch, strum the guitar, stretch, dance, sit in silence, whatever your thing is. Not because it's efficient, you know, or because it's good for you, but because it lights you up, it brings you some energy. And then once again, say one honest no to somebody. I mean, this might be the hard one for people, setting boundaries, like declining the requests that drain you. You know, cancel the thing that you agree to out of guilt. Protect your ability, like protecting this sort of thing. It's not selfish. It's a self-respect in action. So throughout the day, jot down in your note, like, okay, what was one thing? What did I say to actually want for dinner? Today I made a joke that felt like me. Today I said no to something. Like, write down what those things were. You know, that sentence, these things, like as you start to look at them over time, they build up. It may be one sentence, but it's an act of realness of what you did. It's a brick of a foundation. Like, today I did this thing and it brought a little bit more of me back in. Because every time you show up authentically, even in the tiny ways, you're teaching your nervous system like a new truth. I can be myself and still belong. I start by just realizing the world doesn't fall apart when you stop performing. It's going to still exist. You know, your relationships won't collapse. In fact, they probably deepen. People will, you know, start responding with more relief or curiosity or appreciation for the real you, because authenticity isn't about an event of any kind. It's just a daily choice. I'm going to show up this way today. One genuine expression at a time. You're going to find how you can find your way back home as a part of that. Now, the third principle is this whole idea of a mirror moment. You know, seeing yourself again before the world asks for you. You know, so have you ever noticed like most days start in survival mode? Like before your feet even hit the floor, your brain's already scrolling through the list of things you have to do: the emails, the kids, the meetings, the meals, the expectations, and all the should-bes, the things we got to do. Somewhere between your alarm going off and the moment that you lay back down to go to sleep at night. Like, you never once paused to actually check in with the person like that you're living all your life with, which is you. And so that's where this mirror moment comes in. Like, it isn't about any sort of like vanity or any sort of just speaking positive affirmations or anything. It's about remembering like there's a real human underneath the roles you play: the parent, the boss, the provider, the problem solver, whatever. Like, so it's about creating just 2 quiet minutes before the world demands your attention and saying like, hey, I see you and you matter too. Because like the truth is, if you don't make space to reconnect with yourself intentionally, the world will fill every inch of your day with obligation. And when that happens like long enough, the real you fades more and more. The mirror moment is how you stop the fade before the day even begins. So what I want you to do is, number 1, each morning, before you grab your phone, before you check your email, before you start serving anybody else, walk into like the bathroom or wherever your mirror is and just take 2 minutes, make eye contact with yourself. You know, really look at yourself, not your hair, not your outfit, just you. It might feel awkward at first, but, you know, because, you know, you've been in this performance mode for so long, you know, and so start seeing yourself again can be jarring but like, honestly, that's the point. You remind your nervous system, I'm still here, I can still be a part of this. So step 1 is make eye contact. Step 2, ask your question out loud. You know, what part of me needs to be seen today? And pause long enough to maybe listen what your heart's telling you. Maybe part of you needs to create or move or rest or laugh or connect or whatever that may be. You know which one it's going to be. It's the one that you've been ignoring over time. Third thing is going to be make one small promise. Like, okay, I hear that answer and I commit to honoring it in one real way. You know, if your creative side speaks up, then give 10 minutes to sketch or write or dream. If your body's craving movement, take a short walk. You know, if you're missing connection, make space for some connection. Reach out to somebody, not just logistics. If you sense of humor got buried, let yourself, you know, make some genuine jokes today. Make some people laugh. And then close the loop at night. Spend a little bit of time, maybe 30 seconds, look back in the mirror and be like, hey, did I show up as the part of me today that I wanted to? And if yes, smile and let it land. If not, there's no guilt. Just notice it and acknowledge it and promise that you're going to try again tomorrow. None of this is about perfection. It's all about just presence and intentionality. Because when you start your day by seeing yourself, you stop disappearing into the roles that you have. That daily reminder before anyone else, before you have to be someone's parent or leader or partner or whatever, you realize you're just a person, a whole person ready to show up. So tomorrow morning, before chaos begins, look yourself in the eye and ask, what part of me needs to be seen today? And you might be surprised how much that changes how you start seeing yourself and how your day gets laid out. And then our fourth one, which is a realness check. This is where, you get to be you, where you're not just performing. Sometimes I'll refer to it as an authenticity audit, and this is where you look for the patterns where you're fading. Not every part of your life gets the same version of you. There are places where you show up fully real and relaxed and funny and curious and authentically you. And then there's the other ones where you're in autopilot, where you're performing or pleasing, you're managing, you're making everyone else is okay. You want to make sure everyone else is okay while you're disappearing as a part of that. Most of us don't realize that this is happening. You can be totally yourself around your best friend, but completely shut down around your spouse. You might feel alive when you're coaching your team, but a ghost when you're home. Whatever. The fate doesn't look the same everywhere to everyone. But it also it costs the same thing. You stop being seen. And so this is about these realness checks. Getting specific about where you're performing, where you're not. So what I want you to do is, number one, you're gonna look at maybe taking a few minutes this week. It could take honestly 10 minutes, maybe upwards of 45 minutes at most. So let's say 30 to 40 minutes, so you have this awareness that you can give yourself as a part of it. And the first thing you do is you map your week. You grab your calendar, a blank page, look at the major pieces that are in your week, the stuff that takes real time and energy, your mornings, your family, your meetings, your client calls, time with your spouse or your partner, dinner, evenings with home, time with friends, errands, your weekend, whatever, all the things. You don't need to overthink it. Just capture a normal week. What do I normally do? And next to each thing on that calendar, rate how authentic you feel during those. Give yourself a 1 to 3 if it's man, I'm in performance mode. I'm in role play mode. I'm not actually showing up as me. Give yourself a 4 to a 6 if it's a mixed bag. Some realness, but some performance. And then a 7 to 10 where you feel mostly authentic, where you can breathe, you can be yourself, you can be so natural. And be honest, and trust me, brutally honest. If the time with your spouse lands at a 4, work meetings are at a 2, don't panic. You're not failing. You're collecting these truths. Because the next thing is then you just look for the patterns. Once again, we're not judging anything. We're just saying, well, what were the themes? Where do I come alive the most? Where do I disappear the fastest? Is it high pressure environments? Is it specific relationships? Is it family dynamics? Is it certain responsibilities? Those low rated spots, the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, those are your fade zones. Those are the areas where you're most hungry for your realness and your authenticness to come out. And then step 4 is that you just add some sort of a tiny integration. You bring a little bit of life back in. So look at those, pick those 2 and 3, those pick a couple of those fading zones and design maybe one tiny act of authenticity that you can try this week. In your work meeting, what can you bring to that? In the discussion that you have with your partner at night, in the client call that drains you, what's the thing you could bring back some authentic you as a part of that? Once again, we're not overhauling things. You're just giving yourself the real you a little bit more opening to breathe, because you can't fix if you can't see it, and you, if you look at your calendar, you'll see where your authenticity is thriving and where it's starving. So stop wasting energy on vagueness. I need to be more myself. I need to, hit my goals. I'm going to get strategic, change where it actually sticks. What the parts of your day is going to happen. That's where it's going to stick. People who do this, kind of targeted, if you do this targeted self-awareness, the people who do that, they feel more aligned across every part of their life. Because they stop disappearing into those moments. So take an honest look at your week. The goal, once again, isn't to be perfect and be authentic everywhere, but just start bringing a little bit back in at a time. And then the fifth area, I call it the Reclamation Project. Bring yourself back to life, one month at a time. So if you do the hard part and you face the fade, you know what's there. You look at what you buried, you practice these small acts of honesty. You carve out some moments to see yourself again. You notice the trend where you perform, instead of, where you just be yourself. You start to notice those things. Now, this is where it gets fun, because it's time to start bring those dormant parts back to life. So this, when you reclaim yourself, you create a project around that. It's about proving through action parts of you that felt gone are not gone, that they've been waiting to be remembered. And it's about we're not talking about reinventing yourself or adding more to your plate. It's just remembering who you were before the noise got too loud. So each month you're going to reintroduce one small part of your old self, like back into your life. Not as a big, scary, like new habit, but not, and definitely not something that you need to go master. Just a simple act of like reconnection. I'm going to go back and paint something. I'm going to grab that cheap sketchbook. I'm going to do some scrapbooking, doodle a little bit, whatever it is. Let the doodle be a bad doodle. It's fine. I'm going to go for some sort of a hike. I'm going to, do some sort of an exercise. I'm going to, look for a trail. I'm going to walk down the sidewalk. I'm going to read for joy or pick one book that I actually like, not something productive. I'm going to, take my sense of humor. I'm going to try and make some people laugh, until they snort. You're not chasing a performance here. You're just chasing presence. You remind yourself that you can be you. So what you want to do, pick one part that you want to reclaim, looking back at that lost, self-inventory we looked at, and list the things that you used to love. Which ones jump out at you? Don't overthink them. Just pick one and find the thing that sparks a little bit of flicker in you, a little bit of curiosity, a little bit of energy, and let's start to look at that. And then step 2, start small, really small. What's the tiniest, most realistic thing I could do? Maybe it's 2 minutes here. Maybe it's 5 minutes there. Maybe it's a 10-minute, on Saturday where I'm going to listen to music a certain way. I'm going to do a walk. I'm going to write a few words onto paper, whatever. The smaller it is, the more likely you're actually going to do it. So don't worry about the size of it. Just do something. The third thing is track the feeling, not the outcome. After each connection moment, take note. How did I feel? Did I lose track of time? Did it lift my energy? Did it make you miss the version of yourself? Once again, don't judge it. Just notice. You're not measuring the skill. You're measuring your aliveness as a part of that. And then the fourth thing, layer, don't replace. Once again, the first spark feels natural again. Then add another. One per month. Maybe in a month or 2, you can reintroduce a little bit more movement. And a little bit after that, you introduce a little more creativity. You keep going. 6-month mark, you won't have to overhaul your life, but you're going to be bringing so much more energy back in and feeling totally different. It just takes a little bit at a time. You look the same on the outside, the same job, same family, same responsibilities, but inside you're so much more reconnected. You're more re-energized. You're real you again, and you can really make the impact that you were born to make. Every time you reintroduce something that you used to love, even if it's for 5-10 minutes, you're sending your nervous system this new evidence that it's okay to be me again and that I can start doing that day to day. Here's the best part. When you start to come alive again, everyone around you benefits. Your energy shifts, your presence deepens, relationships become more real because you reclaim yourself. You don't just get back things, you bring your gifts, your laughter, your spark, your wholeness back into the lives of everyone you love. Once again, with your unique combination of gifts, superpowers, experiences, you're the only person that can make the impact that they're looking for. They're waiting for you to wake up to this. And so as we wrap this all up, we started with this hard truth that that slow fade, it's not happening overnight. It happens with every little compromise or silenced opinion or the it's fine that you add into the should be's of your life. But the beautiful thing is you can switch it, you can change it, you can reverse it. Your authentic self is still inside you, waiting you find that spark and you rekindle it. Just because you get buried under years of responsibility and survival mode, it doesn't mean it's not there. And once again, I'm not talking about quitting your job, walking away from your commitment, starting over, any of that. No, it's about just remembering that you can honor these things and your responsibilities at the same time. So just bring about small intentional pieces of yourself back in daily. So what I want you to do is I just want you to start this week with something. Take the time to do that lost self-inventory or the daily authentic moment, the mirror thing, start to look, whatever it is. You don't need a big plan, just start with something today. That transformation won't come from a dramatic overhaul. It's the quiet, consistent reconnection that we just talked about. And if you want to dive deeper into these concepts, that's where you'll want to use the link in the description to go get yourself a copy of the GIVER method. It's available right now. It's on Amazon. Like I said, get it for a discounted price. Use the link in the description or pause the video, go get yourself a copy. It's full of tools, stories, just like the things we talked about, practices to help you rediscover your gifts on purpose and make the impact that you can make without burning your life down. If you want some help walking through all this, you're looking for some one-on-one attention, check out the one-on-one coaching link we have down below as well. We'll get clear on your strengths, your direction, and show you how you can live from your authentic self again, and find how you get back to yourself. So there's a link below for that. If you have a team, a podcast, a stage, an event where this could benefit your people, let's talk about how we bring it to them. And of course, before you go, do all the YouTube-y things. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and drop a comment for what landed for you today. Remember this, your authentic self, it's not lost. The parts of you, the laughter, curiosity, or joy, creativity, all those things, they've been waiting for you to just create space for them again. And every small act that you do to reconnect brings you closer to the person you've been, because the truth is the person that you've been looking for, that you've been wanting to get to, has been inside you all along, just waiting for you to finally see that spark and to rekindle it out, to bring it forward again. And that there are people out there waiting, because you are the only person who has your combinations of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, good experiences, bad experiences, failures, wins, whatever, all of them combined. So you're the only person who can help the people in the way that you can. They're waiting for you to realize this. So hopefully we start to wake up to that. Hopefully we can start making the impact that we can only each of us can make day to day, and start improving the lives of ourselves and those around us, living a way more fulfilled life. Check out the other videos on the channel. There may be some other things that really connect with you. Get yourself a copy of the book. There's other resources as well in the description. Check those out. Hopefully we'll catch you in one of our future videos. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you real soon.